That was a cute montage with Fern and the priest and Frieren. I gotta say though, dude had that little thing he was wearing, the towel thing. Bro had that, he had that on. I gotta say, I gotta give him props on that. He had that on. You know, I also am, that's the 4th time I think I've seen that exact same pose from Frieren. The one where she's like bent down inside of something, grabbing something, or, you know, like when she was stuck in the mimic. That is the 4th time I've seen that. And it's already episode 2. I might just make a separate video and say how many times has she been in that position, because it's like 4 times in episode 2 is a little bit insane, but I guess use it if you got it, I guess, or something. I don't know. Oh, interesting. So now we're 4 years in the future. Okay. So that means the priest survived 4 years somehow, even though when he thought he was going to die 20 years ago. So 24 years ago. And he somehow survived 4 more years. That also means she's almost done deciphering, because she said 5 to 6 years. So that means she only has, what, a year or 2 left? Oh, but this also means we're going to get to see a grown-up Fern. Or a more grown-up Fern, I guess. I didn't expect that the priest would have such a deep lore here at the here in episode 2, dude. I thought the priest was just gonna move on. I did not expect one of the literal main characters that I know of to literally be tied to him directly because he did something good in saving her life. I did not expect that. That was, I will say, if you go into this blind and you don't see anything at all, like obviously if you don't know like some of the characters or at least some of the things, then I guess this wouldn't be as surprising. But the fact that I kind of knew a little bit, I didn't know this. This was way out of left field, but I knew who she was. I had no idea that she was tied to the priest at all. I did not expect that, but good for him and good for her. I'm glad that she survived. I knew it. I've been thinking this since the beginning. He tricked Frieren so that she would train Fern. So that way, dude, I knew it. I knew that second request just was for the first one secretly. I knew that. That's crazy, dude. Corrupt priest really got some brains on him. I gotta give it to him. Wait, this is really sad, actually. Not Angel Beat sad, but very sad. Wait, so did she hit the rock? Because remember, it showed like a clip of her trying to hit it right before it jumped to her finishing the book and giving it to the priest. Did she hit the rock? Why did it cut off? Did she do it? Am I tripping? Why is she so small? Maybe this is just a weird like animation thing. Is it just me, or does she look like she looks like she was previously when they first met here, just with longer hair? Yeah, that's weird, because she's definitely a lot older. Like in all the clips leading up to that, she's definitely a lot bigger. Do you guys get what I'm saying? It might just be a weird animation thing. They may just like aged her down a bit, just gave her longer hair or something and forgot to come back or something. I don't know. It's just something I noticed. Oh, she did it. Let's go. Good job, Fern. I had a feeling she did. I was like, it was almost guaranteed that she did, you know. 26 years after the death of Himmel. So this is 26 years after the death of Himmel. And then it was 4 years. Okay, 1 second. Defeated the Demon King. 50 years goes by. 70-year-old Himmel probably. 80-year-old Himmel maybe. 20 years goes by from that after Himmel dies. So now we're at the corrupt priest. 4 years after that, she spends training Fern. So we're 24 years in from the original 50-year end. But we're 4 years into that. So now, it didn't specify 2 more years went by after the 4 years. So I'm assuming it was somewhere between 1 and 2 years. So this is probably this is between a couple of months to possibly 2 years after that. After the priest died, because this is 26 years after Himmel died. So so it'd be somewhere between a couple months to 2 years after the priest died. Still in episode 2, by the way, and we've already somehow gone 100 years across 2 episodes. I'm sure they're going to explain this. So we just saw a statue of Himmel, and obviously the elderly lady, she can't clean it, so Fern and Frieren are there to clean it up. So does that mean that Himmel, even after defeating the Demon King, and I assume retiring in his old age, did he continue adventuring and like going out and actually doing stuff, or is this a part of the 10 years? At least I was correct about them going back and forth in time, though. Yeah, I mean, it makes sense, though. But did he keep adventuring? That's what it seems like. It seems like he kept doing stuff even outside of that group. So I guess that group was just put together to do the Demon King hunt, but it seems like he still kept adventuring, is what I'm getting from this. So this is during the 10 years. Okay, so this isn't after. Because it just showed the clip with like Frieren and the priest and everyone. So they were all together. That still begs the question, did he continue adventuring after they got back, or did he just retire? Also, did he ever find anyone? Like a wife or Like, did he ever settle down, or did he just kind of... I hope he didn't wait for Frieren. Man, that'd be really sad if he did. Did she just steal those squirrels? Am I crazy? So there were some squirrels on the table eating nuts, right? As we do. And did she just steal those squirrels? Am I crazy? She stole them, right? She yoinked those. She yoinked those suckers, right? She absolutely did. All right. Oh, sorry, not squirrels, seed rats. Okay, now they're just doing it on purpose. I mean, they've probably been doing it on purpose this whole time. I swear there's a thing going on at the studio where they're saying every episode they must have this one shot of Frieren bending over. The second episode, I've counted like 6 now, or 5 or 6 now. There was a turtle here a few minutes ago. It was a really big turtle, or a tortoise. I don't really know, but it looked like a... You guys ever seen the Torterra from Pokemon, or Turtwig? It looked like a big Torterra. It was cute. It was big. It was cute. Why is it that this specific frame, I've seen it like 5 different ways now? I don't know why. I mean, it's fine. I don't complain. So we have another time skip. Fern just said they've been searching for this specific blue moon flower that they mentioned that they wanted to grow around Himmel's statue for 6 months. So we're now at probably around 27 years since Himmel died. Probably. The New Year's probably hit, would be my guess. If not, it's not too far off. I'm kind of curious to see how she treats her traveling with Fern, because Fern, I'm assuming, is a human. So with her, not Fern, with Frieren being an elf, right? She can live thousands of years, and the way that she reacted to Himmel's death, it kind of made her reevaluate her relationships with the humans. And I'm curious how she handles it with Fern moving forward, because, you know, she has to learn not to do things over an extended amount of time, because that would waste Fern's life, but it would also really not benefit Fern. You know what I mean? Like, she could spend 10 years looking for this one flower, because she would have, you know, that's like a speck in the universe for her. But 10 years is a lot for a human life searching for a flower. And obviously they didn't search for 10 years. It was 6 months, but it still has the same impact when you sit down and think about time and the lifespan of very specific creatures or animals. So I'm kind of curious to see how she takes that. So the old lady gave Fern some words of wisdom. You know what's funny about this? I'm just going to interject here for like 2 seconds. But what's funny about this is in almost every other like movie, TV show, whatever, when there is an older person who gives advice to a younger person, it's always like, let's say it's episodic. There's always like 10 episodes where they dance around the topic to try and do it their own way, and then they inevitably go back to what the older person, the advice they gave them, like what they said, they just do that anyways, but it takes them a lot longer. Fern just straight up walked out the front door and went out to the woods and started talking to her about it, like her feelings or whatever. That right there is peak. That saves time, all right? Which is kind of crazy when you think about like the concept of all of this being, you have essentially infinite, I say infinite, it's not infinite, but you essentially have all this time from Frieren's perspective, but not from Fern, so you're kind of seeing it from both. That's interesting. That's really good. I like that. I do like that. That's very, very, that's good. That's good. That's really cool. So, sorry, I wanted to let them get through their dialogue, but that's really cool. So they are kind of bringing up the exact same points I just made about how Fern has such a limited time, while Frieren has all the time. She could spend years doing this, but Fern, on the other hand, is lacking in the time. So that's really interesting. So I'm glad that's the direction they're going with it. This is just getting sad now. Why did she have to put the flower crown on top of his head to remember the old times? That just made me sad. Anyways, we're done with episode 2. We're at the end of it now. I'm happy they were able to find the flower. That's really cool, though. That was interesting. That little flashback that they did with Frieren to showcase, like, the flower crown when they were in a field of flowers. Oh, here we go. Episode 23. 27 years after the death of Himmel the hero in the trade city of Worm, located in the Central Lands. So this is probably a few months later. That's kind of cool, though. So she spent all that time trying to find the blue moon flowers. She eventually found them. So I mean, I kind of like that, but also that kind of... I don't like it, but I like it at the same time, because it makes me think, did she do that on purpose? I don't know. But what if she never found them? You know, because I assume she has some type of understanding of that Fern's time is more limited than hers. But if the seed rat didn't take her to the blue moon flowers, if they weren't able to find them, how much longer would she have actually spent looking for them? You know what I mean? Like, is that something she would have spent another year doing to waste Fern's life? Or would she have quit then and there and moved on? I am kind of curious about that, but that question may get answered, maybe in a different way, but I am kind of curious to see how the time between them continues. So here we are. We're finally on episode 3. I'm very excited for this one because we've now gotten kind of a small grasp on, I guess, all the characters and everyone we've been introduced to. So beyond that, I just want to make a few things clear. This is going to be a longer video. I recorded episode 1 and 2 together, but I decided to edit them separately because episode 1 was so long and I wasn't sure if, I didn't give a lot of content in episode 2 and I didn't realize that till after the fact. So in this video, you're probably seeing episode 2 to 4. I may end up adding episode 1 as well, just to have the first 4 episodes together, because apparently, thank you to my comment section for this, it has come to my attention that apparently when it was originally broadcast, episodes 1 to 4 were played, I guess, simultaneously, because it really moves the story along. I didn't know that. I know that now, okay? But yeah, we're watching episode 3 today. I'm very excited to get into this one. We have one more episode after this before the end of the video, but I just wanted to make a quick thing here so that way, So let's get started with this. I'm going to try to have things be a little bit more improved today. I have a bit more energy. I'm here and I just woke up. It is 8 a.m. Good morning. I hope you slept well. So I'm guessing Frieren took Fern to the city in which all the adventurers went and, basically lived. Well, except for Eisen. I didn't even think about that. So this is probably going to be the episode where we learn about Eisen, because episode 2 was about Heiter and introducing Fern. Episode 1 was meeting Himmel. Technically, we introduced Fern in episode 1, but you know what I mean. Yeah, so Heiter and Fern was episode 2. The intro was episode 1. So episode 3 would be either Eisen would be my guess, or we're going to see a Fern, Frieren journey. I did finally learn the red-haired guy's name. I messed his name up in episode 1. I'm so sorry for that. His name is Stark. I did not look that up. I just saw it by accident. I'm telling you guys, it is so hard to avoid spoilers for this show. It feels like really good anime so far. I'm really liking it. Even though I'm only a few episodes in, I'm probably getting a little overzealous, but yeah, I'm trying my best to avoid spoilers. But now, since I've started watching it, now every time I see a cool picture or something on social media, I like it, and now it updates my timeline to more of that anime, and it's becoming a problem because now it's harder to avoid spoilers. Before I just wouldn't like it or whatever, but now it's really difficult because I'm actually enjoying it and engaging with it on other platforms. I assume they're not picking up pumpkins this time, so we'll see. Bro, we got the face. I have a secret video I'm working on. Let me know if you guys want this video as well. I'm working on a secret video. I already mentioned it in episode 1, but Frieren gets stuck in chest a lot. That's the secret video. I'm not going to tell you what it's about. You probably already guessed it. Okay, now I'm thinking, is this going to be a reoccurring thing? Is Frieren going to have a bunch of different types of consistent behavior? Getting stuck in the chest, making a certain face? Is it really going to... I don't know, dude. I'm just curious to see how her behavior is going to be so consistent throughout the story. So in my mind, what I'm trying to equate this to is comparing it to someone who's lived 1,000 years. I swear, dude, it wouldn't even surprise me without an ounce of doubt that this whole story is being told by Frieren, because so far we've only seen it from her perspective, and we know she lives thousands of years. Bro, she's probably writing a novel, a bestseller right now. That would not even surprise me. Oh god, I hope I didn't just ruin the whole story for myself. God, that actually sounds plausible. Okay, I'm not even going to think about that, because that sounds possible, and I hate myself for that. I don't think it would be through her perspective, because it's also, unless she just has that type of personality, because you got to think, it's also going to show her downsides, right? Or it hasn't yet, but I'm sure it's going to show her failing, or her having some type of opposition and she can't overcome it. If that is true, then maybe she just is really good at being unbiased and she doesn't bias herself. I don't know, dude. I'm getting too deep into a theory that probably isn't even correct. But yeah, so anyways, with the consistent behavior, I'm curious to see how she evolves. I think I mentioned this slightly in episode 1, but I'm curious to see how she actually evolves through the story and if her behavior changes. So getting stuck in the chest, does episode 7, does she stop getting stuck in the chest because she's learned? Or is it that it's not that she hasn't learned, it's that she just knows that she's so powerful that it doesn't matter, that she can just blow the chest up with a wink? You know what I'm saying? Is it like a solo leveling? I've never seen solo leveling. Please don't blasphemize me in the comments. I have not watched it. Just as an example, right? Solo, or maybe No Game No Life would be a better example, where she's just so powerful in this world. It doesn't matter what she does, even if she does something dumb or stupid or like whatever. She's all silly willy with it. That'd be a really good sequel to like Moby Dick, Silly Willy. Yeah, so is she like, is it kind of like that? Is she kind of like this so powerful that it doesn't really matter? And she just has fun with life because she's already become such a powerful mage, you know? We're literally 2 minutes in, including the opening. I gotta get into this. Okay, I gotta get into this. There's one other thing I know about Fern because I saw a collage. She puffs her cheeks out a lot, and she just did it here. Maybe that should be a video on its own as well. Dude, I just want to make videos on consistent behavior in anime. Is that weird? Should I just quit and get a psychology degree at this point? She bought a potion that dissolves clothing, based, and a, what else was it? The giant skull, or the giant, like, I'm assuming that was an ox horn, or maybe it was a dragon. I don't know, it had horns. So the potion that dissolves clothing, we're getting back to the base talk real fast. This is just a quick thing, by the way. I wonder if there's any fan service actually here, because I know that a lot of anime, obviously I didn't read the manga, so I don't know if there's fan service, and I don't know if there's filler. There may be filler. So I'm curious to see if that is going to be introduced, because I know a lot of anime will introduce fan service to try and get, you know, a bigger audience. Of course, sometimes they do it like very minimally. Sometimes they go to the extreme, like High School DxD or like High School of the Dead. You know, then again, they actually have like applicable tags that showcase them as like ecchi or, you know, very high fan service. But when I say fan service, like in a generic anime, I would say something like maybe like Fairy Tail. I would say like Fairy Tail maybe. Is that a good example? I don't know, but I think you guys kind of understand. I assume my audience is very anime literate, so I'm just gonna assume you guys know what I'm talking about. Tell me Fern doesn't look like the purple, the night shroom, right? The night shroom, right? The puff shroom. Tell me she doesn't look like the puff shroom here. Am I right, guys? Tell me the difference between these photos. Bro, we're 3 minutes and 4 seconds in. So is this a callback, I wonder? Remember in episode 1? Episode 2? I think it was episode 2 when she... No, it may have been... It was at the very end of episode 1, I think, where she mentioned that Fern's mana was so low that she could barely detect it. So that obviously tells us two things. Frieren can detect mana in the world. And mana is detectable like chakra, right? So basically Frieren has the Byakugan. So my understanding of this is Frieren can detect mana, but she... Wait, 2 years though with Fern. Is it possible that Fern got such good mana control that Frieren can no longer detect it? Possibly. A human girl in 2 years is not better than a mage who's been alive for like 1,000 years, right? Obviously, clearly Frieren didn't just slack off. She's obviously been at this for a while. So she has to know that Fern is following her. Another thing, this could just be a gag, right? There are things in anime and shows and media and whatever that just do gags that aren't like real. Like there's that one, I don't know if you guys have ever seen Sky Having Fun. It's a YouTube channel. He did an analysis of like a bazooka being pulled out of the bazongas, as well as a bunch of other things with like jiggle physics, because obviously jiggle physics are important. We stand jiggle physics here. But he like pulled the bazooka, or she pulled the bazooka out of her bazongas, and he like did a whole study on the lore of jiggle physics. And those are all gags, right? They're not realistically possible. He actually did the analysis and found that 2 of them were possible, but I digress. It's like, it's one of those things where it's not applicable to the actual story or the show itself, but it does kind of have this side of it where it's like, okay, this is a small gag to give comedic relief, but am I getting ahead of myself? I should just watch it. Normally we'll learn about it. I'm sure later on she'll be like, hey, I knew you were following me this whole time. Probably. We'll see. Yo, is Frieren secretly a cat? That would be kind of... Yo! Do shapeshifters, what's the word? Not a doppelganger. Because mimics exist. So that technically means that something can look like another thing. I'm going to say doppelganger. You guys probably know what I'm talking about. Or a shapeshifter, but there's like a specific name for it. But I wonder if in this world, if there is things that can shapeshift into other things to look like them and to trick them, right? I'm kind of thinking a kitsune, but that's not really correct because a kitsune can only transform into a fox and then to a human. I'm talking about something that can take the shape, like a Ditto from Pokemon. Exactly. That would be a better example, like a Ditto from Pokemon. I wonder if things like that exist. I don't know, the cat made me think of that because the puff shroom is petting the cat, which is very dangerous. She's gonna lose her, by the way. She's gonna look up and Frieren's gonna be gone. Oh, never mind. I'm gonna say it here. It's a gift for, I don't know, Fern. I don't know. Okay, last pause for a minute. Now I'm thinking, is projection a thing that can happen as well? Because now I'm thinking, if Fern is following Frieren here, couldn't Frieren just project herself? So like, couldn't she create like a shadow clone jutsu type deal? Couldn't she create another copy of herself? Maybe not directly like an an exact carbon copy of herself, but couldn't she create another copy to trick Fern into following, and then she goes to do the real thing? Is that a thing mages can do? Because I know that that's a real thing in RPGs as well, because Guild Wars 2, I play way too many games. All right, that's pretty much that's the short of it. I'm calling this here. It's going to be comedic relief. They're all going to pull out like some creme brulee, or I don't know how to say the word, dude. I'm not French. Isn't that French? They're all going to pull out some like crazy dessert, dude. They're all going to have like some jiggling jello and throw it on the table and be like, 100% that's what's going to happen here. I'm assuming this is not a euphemism for drugs, but we'll see. Oh man, I was hoping they just yoink out some like desserts or something. It's fine. I think I'm getting too ahead of myself. I just need to watch and pay attention. And bro, she's playing Propa. Okay. Like, I get that Frieren is keeping secrets, but at the same time, this whole show is keeping secrets from me. Like, bro, you introduced me to this guy, this wonderful hero, and then you just killed him right in front of me. Please don't tell me that she's here for Eisen's funeral. I remember Eisen, dude. I don't want to be at his funeral. There's too many funerals. Yeah, there's like a lot of things they skip over, like an insane amount of stuff, like 27 years of stuff they've skipped over. And then, well, no, I don't remember the math. It was like 70 years or 80 years that they've skipped over now of stuff that we haven't seen. Okay, last pause for at least a few minutes. I need to get more into this because I want to watch at least 2 episodes back to back. I want to get past episode 4 today. This could have been a coincidence. I don't believe in coincidences when it's like more than 2 things. But this is like 2 things. But if it's like 3 things, usually it's not a coincidence in my mind, but I'm just a paranoid person, I guess. What I'm trying to get at is the priest. Does this mean, could Fern have said, I don't know, dude, they've been traveling for 2 years, so maybe she's already had it. This could just be a flashback. I wonder if the priest talked about Frieren to Fern before he passed. Or I guess technically Fern could have learned about Frieren while she was there. I'm thinking about this too much. I'm going too much into it. I'm going to just keep watching. I don't know if the creators did this on purpose. I'm assuming they did. Every flashback I'm seeing with the priest, it seems like his drinking was like the big thing that everybody knew about him, and kind of how Frieren remembered him up to the point of seeing him again with Fern. I wonder if that whole thing with the priest was to showcase that he isn't just this random drunk guy that follows them around. He actually is one of the pillars of the story. If I refer to this in the future, I may kind of flip-flop how I'm referring to it, but first story in this case is, the original adventuring team, and then the second story is obviously Frieren, Fern, and again, I know Stark comes in at some point. I don't know if he joins them. I think he does, but I did learn his name. I don't know if they have anybody else on the team or not. But yeah, so it seems like each one kind of has their own individual importance, I guess. I don't know. I'm assuming this second team isn't going to be like a major adventure like fighting the Demon King like the first one was. I'm sure they're going to have adventures. It's going to have action. Obviously, it feels like the type of thing, like it feels like that type, right? But I don't think it's going to be, I think the action is going to be on the first team, the first adventure team. The second adventure team is going to be like the aftermath or the relief, right? Which I could be wrong, obviously, but we'll see. That is a pancake. She got a pancake and Frieren got pudding. I had this thought. I had a feeling she was going to give that to Fern. I kind of knew that already, but... So Frieren gave Fern a hair ornament. I'm trying to think. Have I ever seen a video... Not a video. Have I ever seen a screenshot or some type of picture with her wearing anything in her hair? We've seen her with short hair and long hair now. I don't know if she ever cuts it, but I don't think I've ever once seen her with something in her hair. Not before this. I mean, like, online... wherever, because you see pictures all the time, right? Or you see videos or whatever. I don't think I've ever once seen her wearing it. Maybe I've just somehow succeeded in not seeing it. I don't know. It's a nice gift. So I like that this is like the aftermath of showcasing Frieren actually taking that initiative and learning. I don't know. I feel like I maybe have seen her like that before. I'm talking about Fern, by the way, not Frieren looking out the window menacingly. I gotta get my first thought out before I think of second things. So it seems like Frieren is actually learning or learning to learn, right? Or learning about the people around her. Because if you remember, I guess it was a foreshadow then. I don't know if you'd call it a foreshadow, but remember originally she was like, I didn't get to know, at Himmel's funeral, she was like, I didn't get to know him at all. I really wanted to know him more. I feel like I didn't know anything about him. Even though they were together for 10 years and she learned some things about him, she still feels like she learned nothing or barely anything. Yeah, I wonder if this is kind of her not trying to fix the past. That's not a good way to describe it. Her trying to improve her abilities in communication. There we go. That I don't know if that's right either, but I do get what she's trying to do here, trying to improve her. I don't know. She also kind of showed it at Heiter's when he was dying as well, because if you remember, she was like, make as many memories as you can. So again, it's a callback. She understands the concept of human death. She understands their lifespans are shorter. And I honestly think she is good at making memories and remembering these things and learning about people. I don't think she's that bad. I don't think she's the best at it. Her problem is she hasn't been able to come to terms with losing all these people that have surrounded her. Because it seems like she knows more than she thinks she does, is what I'm trying to get at, right? And I think that she just has a difficult time coming to terms that the people around her die so shortly, and she is able to live infinitely longer. I don't know. That's kind of my analysis of her so far. And obviously I'm probably wrong on a bunch of points, but I do think that she is getting better and improving and showcasing improvements and coming to terms with that. It looks beautiful. It matches perfect. She just said she wants to retrace her adventures with Himmel. We're going to revisit everything through, I assume, through the original group's eyes and through Frieren and this new group's eyes, or their perspectives, right, after the fact. So that means we're going to have to relive all of the experiences. And it's going to be even worse because it's going to be after they've all died. Okay, I'm sorry for this screen cap. This is going to be quick, so you won't see it for long. But I wonder if we're going to see Frieren in another world. Not in another world. This isn't an isekai. In like a different group. Right, are we going to see Frieren before because, again, going back to that 10-year stint with Himmel, she only knew him for 10 years, yet he made such an impact on her, and obviously that could just be him being important to her, right? Everybody, you know, animes, there's always someone who's important to you, there's always someone who supports you, right? To some extent. Obviously, if you're like Guts or something, you're donezo. No, I'm just kidding. Yeah, so I wonder what about everything before Himmel? Like, was she in other adventurer groups? Did anybody else make an impact to this extent with her? Or, like, you see what I'm saying? Like, why did Himmel... I get that Himmel's, like, this amazing hero and everyone loved him, but why did he make such an impact on her when, before him, she didn't have these feelings or the same perspective on life and experiences? I could be wrong. Maybe she did. We haven't seen it. But just from what I've gathered so far, we haven't really seen anything of Frieren's past before the adventures with Himmel. I'm just curious what she spent the first 100 years, I'm assuming, of her life doing, and if anybody else made an imprint on her like Himmel did. Okay, this is not a good screen cap. So, I literally just paused like less than 10 seconds ago. We gotta recap this, dude. There's so many things to unpack here. Fern, it's her birthday. Hey, Frieren, I'm 16 now. Frieren glances at, I'm assuming, her chest, and then Fern, I could be your older sister. Frieren, 1,000 years old. Like, sorry, that wasn't a serious recap, but my god, that was just a very funny, like, everything clicked for some reason in my brain, and that was just a funny turn of events, like, everything, like, stacking up one after the other. 27 years, so we're still in the same year, it seems. So we're not progressing as fast as we were in the first 2 episodes, because if you remember, we went 80 years or something in the first 2 episodes. So it does seem like we're progressing. Oh, this is gonna be cool. Hold up. I really like the magic-based elements of it. Like, I don't know how many of you guys do like photo editing, or maybe you've seen like edits where it has like it's not a fully like transparent white or colored section, and instead it's like broken up by little specks. It's called noise, and a lot of times with the magic, they have like this noise filter on it, and it's very cool. You know what I mean? Like, it gives it this otherworldly, like, it doesn't seem like anything like it doesn't seem like anything else in the animation. Everything is like unique to that spell, or not that spell, but to the magic itself. Like, magic is a completely different entity. It's in a completely different space type deal. Also, can we just talk about how Frieren just shot a massive ass beam of energy, magic energy at Fern, and if Fern was just like looking down at her feet or not paying attention for like a split second, she would have been disintegrated. That is always so funny to me to see this in anime, where it's like, okay, get ready, I'm gonna throw my most powerful spell at you, and then she's just like, huh, what'd you say? And then she just doesn't, just, oh god, what's that? I don't remember what it was, but like her clothes just fall to the ground and she's just like poof and smoke. I can't remember what it's called. Doesn't matter. I don't really think that made sense, but it's just like the noise filter looks really cool on the magic. It shows like it's like a different animation style, but it's cool. It gives it like its own unique texture. Yeah. Bro, she curved the bullet. That was insane. That was cool. That was our first time actually seeing like a real I don't want to call it a combat or an action sequence. I mean, it kind of was. It was just training, but that's cool. So I'm guessing that's what we're to expect in the future when there are actual fights happening. Now, obviously, we saw some like short ones throughout the first few episodes, but that was the first time we've seen it like longer than a few seconds, I feel like. I mean, I don't know, dude. I gotta stop stopping for like the little things, but it's like I always want to add something. Obviously, this isn't like a full reaction type video. You can't really do that with anime. You can, but it's like I'm not trying to get copyrighted. I'm trying to add as much commentary as I can because I want to make sure that you guys kind of get across that there's a lot of things about this that is interesting to me, even though I'm not great at describing all the interesting things, but a lot of it is interesting. Wait, is this Himmel's hometown village? I'm literally just throwing that out there because we've never seen it. It's the first place we've seen since the Central Land. Oh my god, is that Himmel's dad? No, I'm just kidding. Sorry. that was probably... Sorry. Bro, is this where Luffy went after the One Piece was found? Oh my god, dude, it's Kaido. Okay, sorry. sorry. Oh, let's go. Are we about to get a crazy fight scene? I'm excited. Okay. Oh, dude, that explains it. I was literally... Bro, I mentioned this first episode. So it is. So he did. Because remember when we first looked at this, when we first met Himmel, and we realized that he'd 50 years in the future. In the 50 years, I said, did he stay in town or did he continue adventuring and do things outside of the Central Land where he was essentially living, right? So he did. I don't know how far and wide. I don't know, like, maybe he just went to this small town. I don't know. But it does seem like he actually visited other places. He kept adventuring to some extent. So he didn't just sit down and retire in the Central Land or the big city. So it's not a city, but that's good to hear. So Himmel kept adventuring solo. I assume Himmel, Aizen, Heiter, and also Frieren, they all split up after that. I assume they were only together for those 10 years, obviously to defeat the Demon King, and I'm sure they did a lot of other things as well, but who knows? But it seems like Himmel did keep adventuring to some extent at least, so that's cool. So my boy Himmel kind of knew what he was talking about. When you see it, both sides of the coin, right? Where Himmel understands the fleeting life. I don't, bad way to phrase that. But he understands that life is precious and you're not guaranteed the time that you think you are. So it seems like he does pay attention to the small things. Frieren, on the other hand, I think she's finally learning that after all this time, which is kind of interesting. You know, it's kind of cool to see that she does, in her own way, she does have compassion. Yo, are we about to get a crazy action scene? Or is she just going to reseal it? Does she have to break the seal to reseal it? So does that mean it'll awaken? So I was right. She has to break the seal and then take care of him. I see what's happening here. So a big reason why... I don't know if Frieren kind of had this in the back of her mind why she was teaching Fern the defensive spells. But it seems like they're going to make a callback to the defensive spells, and then maybe this is where Fern finally figures out how to kind of have good defensive spells. I don't know. I think it would be really neat if somehow Fern creates a new defensive spell to deal with the pierce that the demon created, the spell that the demon created. I feel like that could be kind of cool. Unlikely, but cool. All right, here we go, dude. Dude, bro is massive. I just realized who he reminds me of. Have you guys ever seen Adventure Time? Tell me this doesn't look like Billy. You guys know Billy? Throw Billy up on the screen, future me. Tell me this doesn't look like Billy. He can talk? I don't know why I expected him to not be able to talk, but apparently he can talk. You know what? That's my fault for being ignorant and thinking other creatures are ignorant. Dang, bro had a grudge for 80 years, huh? Well, I'm sorry. I'm gonna go back. I don't want to pause here. Bro, she really said cast a defensive spell in front of us, bro. She got her apprentice. Oh my god. Oh, this is about to be... Bro, is she really using this as a training moment right now, dude? I love Frieren. Frieren is absolutely one of my favorite anime characters at this point in time, dude. She's really using one of the most powerful beings in all of this world, essentially, right? As a teaching moment. Like, Frieren, cast a defensive spell. Just please. Wait a minute. Hold up. I see the shield. Okay, my brain is now buzzing. Hold up. Frieren taught Fern a defensive spell that maybe Frieren developed or created to counter. So in those 80 years, why didn't I think about that? Of course, Frieren created a defensive spell that could counter this guy's attack. Obviously, I don't know if she did, but they obviously did. I mean, come on. How did I not even think of that? I'm insane, dude. I can't even think of the obvious things, I guess. That's kind of funny. So that means this dude is... Bro's weak now. Time has moved on. He's about to get his ass kicked by an apprentice. She should have read the magic history. Okay, so I was right. That makes sense. Okay. Yo, that's crazy. Fern... Okay, so I didn't... That's kind of funny because the way Fern said, oh, that's just ordinary offensive magic. Bro, she literally insulted this guy without even knowing that she insulted this guy. Bro is flabbergasted. Hold up. Wait, so all that practicing... Wait, so that means... God damn, dude. Frieren's incredible. So that means she essentially mirrored. She mirrored the attacks of the demon to practice with Fern to teach her protective or defensive magic. That's kind of insane to think about. Bro, Frieren is... She may actually, like, see in a different dimension. Like, she just thinks ahead. Alright. I don't know, dude. Am I, like... talking Frieren up? I think I'm talking Frieren up too much, dude. She's cool, but I don't know enough about her yet. We're still learning. We're only on episode 3. Oh my god, we're only on episode 3. I talk too much. I'm just a yapper, I guess. Alright, bad time to pause. I'm actually going to go back and rewatch this scene. Jesus, dude. Okay, I like it. I like the action. The action is cool. I'm going back. So the really cool thing about this is it's really like showing the aptitude of Fern, which is really cool, dude. Like the way that she's able to control each I think they're hexagons. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yeah. So I think it's hexagons. So she's able to control each individual like hexagon based on the ray of magic incoming. And then when a big blast, she's able to combine them. Kind of like if you guys have ever seen Big Hero 6, like the nanobots, right? Where they can all be like separate in their own entities, or like an octopus. That's not going to make an octopus. Each arm on an octopus can actually act independently without having to read its brain. So it's like each arm has its own nervous system. I know way too much about octopuses. I might make a video on it someday on this channel, even though it's an anime channel. I don't know. I might just throw some octopus facts at you guys or something. I assume they've only been practicing at minimum a few months on the defensive spell. And I'm assuming she did this, Frieren, because they knew they were leading up to fighting this demon. But dude, that's so cool. So I guess she does have a high aptitude for magic, which they mentioned, but this kind of proves it, right? And I'm assuming this is kind of a small test from Frieren. Maybe there's like... So I know that there is a mage school, right, that Frieren went to, I think, but I do know that exists. So maybe, technically speaking, Fern is not a mage. She knows magic, but she's not technically a mage. Maybe there's like a guild or some type of like council that decides if you can become a mage to a certain extent and like go on adventures, or like maybe you can be, I don't know, maybe you get some type of honor. I don't know. Maybe she's not technically a mage by the council, but she's like a mage by practice. I don't know. We'll see. But this scene is really cool. I really like how they did this. This fight is very cool. Bro, she is locked in though. I gotta say, she is focused. She said, I'm not even gonna seal you, bro. I'm just gonna disintegrate you. I'm gonna Thanos snap you out of existence. Can she fly? Because I saw him say she can fly. I'm assuming she can't fly. I assume she just has some type of like... She dispels mana to maintain air or height, altitude, whatever. This is from when I traveled around the world as Luffy D Monkey. Sorry. Oh my god, I thought it was about to show Luffy. Oh man, this, I know that we're getting towards the end. My god, this has got to be my favorite episode so far. I mean, I loved the intro, but god, this episode has been so good. It's really revealed so much information. Wait a minute. Wait, did he die? Wait, why is his hat there? He didn't die, did he? No. I'm gonna say no, because they're not gonna end it where it's like he lived a little longer and then just put his hat there. I think I remember them looking at that tombstone. I don't remember who that is, but I remember them looking at one. Why did I pause it? Oh yeah. I noticed that I don't, maybe I'm wrong. I'll probably look back at the footage and see, but I don't think Frieren got stuck a single time in this entire episode. This is the first episode where she didn't get stuck in a chest or something else. I think she's learning. Next up, we have the lands where souls rest. I also want to make another quick statement here before we get into it. I've actually moved the intro up a bit now that I've heard it a few times. So I have this thing where when I hear a song the first time, it doesn't matter if it's an anime opening, just I hear a song the first time, it may not always click. Like there's a bunch of songs like that, and then I hear it like the second, third, fourth time, and then I put it on the playlist and it's like on repeat all the time. So like, I think this is one of those songs, at least for me, where I had to hear it a few times. So before I would say this song would probably be like top 10, I'm actually gonna move it up to, it was about 8, I think, 8 or 9. I don't have like an official ranking, but just like in my mind, I have like a bunch of songs that I would put like top 5 to 10 in that range. And I think I'm going to move this up to somewhere between like 5. I don't want to say 5, but I'm going to say somewhere between like 5 and 7 after hearing it a few more times. I really like it, and I do think it deserves that spot. I like the opening. It's hard to overcome some of the openings that I've heard just because I really like a lot of them, but I do think it's growing on me, and that could change, to be honest with you. It could go higher. I don't know, but so far I really like it. Hi, we're here with episode 4, by the way. So, assuming you watched through the whole video, this is the final episode for the video. I'm very excited to get through this one. Just to reiterate, as per someone in my comment section mentioned that episode 1 through 4 was all broadcast simultaneously, or they were all released to kind of give a really big intro to the story. So this is officially where the premiere ends at the end of this episode. So we're going to see what everybody else saw on day of release, I guess. But even with all that being said, we are now 28 years after the death of Himmel, and we're being introduced to a new location, the Grand's Channel. So 28 years, that means probably another 6 months or 7 months has passed since last episode, I think. I don't think it's been a full year, because if you remember, a few times they mentioned it was like 6 months, whatever, like a couple months passed. So I'm assuming that 27 year, this is probably at least a couple months. It's probably not like a full year from like last episode or anything like that. I don't think. It could be. It depends on the month, I guess. But we'll see. We'll see. So we already knew this, but it's cool to see that she is still going for her original goal of collecting all the spells. That's pretty cool. Bro, Fern got... Okay. Anyways, I wish somebody would call me a good girl. Anyways, so what I was going to say before, I mentioned about Frieren still collecting spells. I had another comment. I couldn't remember it at that second, but I was gonna say this is kind of a thing I wish kind of existed in real life. just to put this into perspective, by the way, when I was a kid, I wish Pokemon was real, so take this with a grain of salt. I wish it was a real thing with books like this. Hey, I spent like 5 minutes trying to explain this for some weird reason. The gist of it, I think it would be really cool if you could get a book, learn magic from reading a book, and then use that in practice. I just think magic would be a cool thing to exist. I don't know why I went into like a 5-minute long rant about how it would be cool if you could learn stuff from books. That is literally the TLDR of it, and I don't understand what I was on here, but bro, I was just yapping about wishing you could learn stuff from books. I wonder if she ever second guesses whenever she gets like a fake payment. Like, I wonder if she ever second guesses it. Like, so there's two, usually when you get a fake payment or somebody offers you something fake, there's two possibilities. Either the person making the payment faked it and they're doing it maliciously, or because they are obviously, you know, maybe they don't have the money. That's also an option. But the second option, or the second possibility, is that they didn't even know it was fake and they believed it was real, and then they used it as payment and they thought they were giving up something a lot more precious or something a lot more valuable than what they actually gave up. And so I wonder how, it seems like regardless, Frieren just kind of took the book, but it seems like she took the book or the payment regardless to obviously provide help to the people, but it seems like she doesn't really care if it's real at this point in time. But she also doesn't seem to question whether it was the guy who falsely created it, or if it was just like, maybe he thought it was real. Based on what we just seen, it seems like he thought it was real. Also, that looks like a face in the boat over there. You guys see that? Look at that face. Bro's mouth is open. Yo, is this snowing? Yeah, I think it is. Oh, so I'm guessing they've been here a while then, because she said Fern's a regular. 3 months! Oh my god. I really, really liked that sequence. There was no action. There was no, like, crazy lore. It was just Frieren asleep, Fern waking her up, treating her like she's a 5-year-old, dressing her and just getting her out of there. It's such a polar opposite of what you would come to expect. You would think it'd be Fern, who's the apprentice, the younger one, who's a human, by the way, as far as I know, only been alive for less than 20 years, and then you have the opposite of a 1,000 plus. I'm still assuming her age, by the way. I think she may have mentioned that she was roughly around 1,000 or something, but I could be wrong. 1,000-year-old maid, or elf. Now, obviously, she stayed up all night reading. That's an obvious one. What I also noticed is some of the ways that Fern spoke. So she said, yesterday. I cleaned it up yesterday. That says that this is a common occurrence, and the fact that she knew exactly what to do that morning. I mean, obviously they've been together for years. She obviously knows Frieren to some extent, but that proves that in the 3 months they've been there, this has been a very common thing. And it's just funny to see that you would think it'd be completely opposite. I don't know. It was just a really cool look into both their characters, I guess. Just a nice little thing. I'm going to go back because I know this exact screen cap. I've seen this exact GIF before of Frieren, so I know what she's about to do. Like I said, the few things I've seen haven't been like story-wise spoilers, but I've seen like certain clips and GIFs and things like that. So yeah, so apparently Frieren here does not like the cold. I wonder if, so there's this other like trope in anime that I've found for a long time, that elves do not like their ears touched. It's probably not originally from anime. It's probably originally from like some type of fantasy type, either game, movie, media, whatever. But I wonder if that's kind of the case here, because I know Frieren doesn't like her head patted, but I wonder if she doesn't like her ears touched either, because I know that that's a whole thing with like, oh god, I don't like mating. Apparently it's like a huge thing with elves in some universes, so, or some stories. I don't know, man. I think I have too much fantasy experience. Okay, I know too much. Hey, there she goes, dude. Look at her go. Oh, so they reference it. Okay, so I was right. Oh, I was right. Okay, cool. Maybe it's just me, but even though Frieren seemed also same, by the way, Frieren, I oversleep all the time. So I guess they would get upset about her oversleeping, but in my mind, couldn't she technically snap her finger and like obliterate all of them in like a second? If I knew I was speaking to a being that could literally kill me and like the blink of an eye, I would probably say let them get a few hours of sleep. Maybe that's just a me thing, you know? The old guy said they hope she'll be able to watch the sunrise this time for the New Year's festival. So I think my assumption may have been correct. I thought about the possibility of her revisiting all the places her and Himmel had visited. Obviously she mentioned that. I don't want to like, I know she mentioned it, but I also was thinking like, is this something she's doing now or is this something she's doing later? Because when Fern asked about the goal of their journey, she pretty much didn't say like if there was a goal. She's really just collecting spells like she mentioned. So I'd never imagined that I would see an elf or someone who lived as long as she has kind of live in the past the way that she is, you know what I mean, or what it feels like she's doing. I'm liking this. Okay, I'm gonna keep going. Sorry, this is really interesting so far. So I don't know if I finished my thought before. Sorry, I kind of jumped onto something else. I got a message, but yeah, so I wonder if she's been here before. I know that she had hinted towards going back through her locations that she'd went with Himmel, but I'm curious to see if she maintained, or if this is what they're doing. Like, she's still collecting spells obviously, but is she actually doing both at the same time, or is collecting spells kind of just not a lie, but is she kind of just using that as an excuse to trick herself into reliving these memories and these experiences because she genuinely misses him for the first time, misses someone for the first time ever in her life? You know what I mean? I'm curious if that's what we're getting at. Oh, here we go again, dude. She ain't learned nothing, and Fern's still mama-ing it up. I don't know. Oh my god, it's Davy Jones. I was actually I assume Fern's about to say something similar to what I'm saying, but I was actually kind of worried she would say no. Not because she oversleeps or because she doesn't wake up early. I don't know. I guess in my mind I thought, you know, maybe she wouldn't want to see it for some emotional reason. I don't know, but I guess we'll see. Me and Frieren are the same. I do the same exact thing. If I need to wake up at like 4 a.m., I don't know, but in my mind, I'm like, okay, it's 8 p.m. now. I got to stay up all night if I want to be up at like 4 a.m. Like, sleeping is not an option. I have this problem where I don't wake up with alarms. I can't. I've had 10 alarms go off before and I won't wake them up. I've slept through tornadoes, hurricanes, thunderstorms, anything you can think of, any natural disaster. I've probably slept through it or could sleep through it. I am one of the deepest sleepers I think I've ever met in my life. So if I don't sleep at least like 5 or 6 hours before I'm supposed to wake up, I will usually just stay up all night. And honestly, most of the time I forget to sleep anyways, because like it's like 3 a.m. and I'm still watching something or doing something. And it's like, what do you mean? It was just like 6 p.m., you know? So now it's like 3 a.m. and I have to be up at 6. So now I'm just like, oh, well, I can't sleep. So now I just got to stay up. Same. So if they've been here before, potentially, I wonder if Himmel, Heither, and Eisen saw the New Year's festival, but Frieren overslept, so she didn't see it. And then I wonder if when she did wake up, Himmel explained it to her and they told her how beautiful it was. And I wonder if that's why she's seeing it now, because she can now live the memory that she didn't get to live with Himmel. Is that how we're playing this? Maybe. Oh, I was right. Oh my god, I called it. She is not staying up. Yeah. So the way that I'm seeing this is I'm assuming Frieren has always seen things through her own perspective, her own eyes, right? So is everyone else. Other people don't really think a lot of the time about others and how they're perceived by others and how others have different emotional states and understanding. Everybody has a different emotional scale, where that's why you see a lot of times where people are more emotional or less emotional to the same exact situation. So I'm guessing that this kind of, she didn't understand it initially with Himmel, because Himmel obviously wanted her to enjoy it, but it's not the fact that she would enjoy it by herself, it's the fact that she would enjoy it because she was with the people who enjoyed her. You know what I mean? Or like she enjoyed. Which makes sense. Obviously, that's a common lesson in a lot of different shows and anime and things like that. But it's interesting here how they're expressing that without directly expressing that. You know what I mean? They're showing it, but they're not like saying, it's not explicit. You know what I mean? But I think she finally saw that because she was able to experience it with Fern. I think the reason she met Fern is to kind of show who Frieren is, how Frieren is around other people. But when she's by herself, you kind of see that she's not as understanding, because she is very much a solo person. I don't know. I'm not really doing a good job of explaining this, am I? But I do think that having Fern there really helps showcase the emotions that she wasn't able to really grasp onto during her journeys with Himmel, because she overslept, or she felt like she was always singled out, right? She was never a part of the group activity, I guess, as you could put it. I assume it's Aizen talking, because nobody's mouth is moving. I really like the priest. You know, I wasn't 100% sure about him. He just seemed kind of like this side character. He wasn't giving me like main character energy. But the more I learn about him, the more he speaks and shares his ideals, I'm really starting to I'm starting to like him a lot more, just because he has certain ideals that I also find valuable in people. I actually have a very similar viewpoint on that, like regardless of whether there's an afterlife or any type of existence beyond. I mean, the best thing you can do is live your life here, and then whether it's real or not, you know, in the afterlife, it's nice to believe that something exists, and even if it doesn't, at least you had some type of life here or something. I don't know, man. I don't know. I like him though. I like the priest. His only bad trait so far that I've seen is the drinking. Like, which isn't that uncommon in these settings, by the way. These settings generally always have, I mean, drinking is a common thing. So, you know, everybody has a vice. You can't judge someone based on a single vice, especially when it's not something super morally heinous, you know what I mean? I'm hoping we get to learn more about Aizen. I really expected last episode to be about Aizen, like a little bit more, but we just have not really gotten to know him. So it seems like maybe now we're going to get to know him a little bit more, but we know quite a bit about Hyther, and we know quite a bit about Himmel. We don't know as much about Himmel, obviously, because he is gone. Hyther passed on, but he had a major plot point with oh my god, I know exactly. Yep, it hit me. The red-haired one, the red-haired guy, that Stark, he's going to be with Aizen. Hyther's going to have an orphan, Fern, who goes with Frieren. And then, for some reason, Aizen's going to have an orphan, Stark, and he's going to go with Frieren. And it's like, I don't know, maybe I looked at his red cloth for some reason, that just kind of hit me. That's such a dumb way to say that. It's going to be Frieren. Stark is going to maybe be like the new him. I don't want to say that. I feel like that's going to make a lot of people mad. And then Fern is going to be the new Hyther. No, probably not. But it seems like maybe there is going to be like this new group. That's interesting. I'm taking a wild guess here, but if that is the case, then this is essentially just another adventure for Frieren, but with not the same people, but with people connected to the old life that she held with Himmel in the original group. That's what I'm getting from this. So she is going to start a new adventure, but it's going to be with people connecting her with the people of her previous life that she wanted to connect with more. I'm probably way off the mark, but that's what I'm seeing here so far. I don't even know if Stark is going to come from Aizen. I'm just taking a wild guess there, but if that does end up happening, then I'm going with what I just said. So we're still 28 years. This is probably right after the New Year's festival. Bro, she's just like casually like, what's up, you want to hang out in the group chat? Bro, like, it's been 30 years. That's so funny. That's the second time they've done that with the time frame. It's just so funny to see Frieren and how she perceives time. I'm going to call her Flame. I specify, I shouldn't say her because we don't know. But apparently there's a legendary mage named Flame. I'm going to call, please don't hate me for saying Flame, okay? It's just easier for me. So there's a legendary mage. We've heard them mentioned before. We don't know who they are. Is it possible that Frieren is actually this legendary mate. Wouldn't that be crazy? That'd be a crazy plot twist. I know it's not true, but that would be a crazy plot twist. Did I just... Okay, bro, I have so many, like, assumptions, and I throw out so many possible scenarios out there. It's just so funny to think any of them are correct. And I'm kind of excited to see, because if just one is correct, then it's going to be wild. But yeah, I'm a little bit interested to learn more about this legendary mage. I'm assuming they are pretty notorious, would be my assumption, because it seems like everybody knows who they are. But maybe they disappeared for some reason, or were only very... I don't know. Yo, we got Puff Fern again. That's a funny premise of Fern being scary when she's mad. It's a funny premise because Frieren is literally one of the strongest mages, at least, you know, compared to Fern, right? She could blow her away in a second. Making those comments are just always funny coming from Frieren. Okay, we gotta unpack a few things. So I'm just gonna break it down as it happens. So here is Eisen picking up a gigantic ass boulder at like 95 years old. Bro's insane. Okay, that's not the funny one. Bro is also chomping on some... Right, dude, bro is running on water. And also Fern is apparently flying now too. So I guess Fern can fly and Frieren can fly. I'm not trying to like I'm sure they can fly, but I don't know if it's actually like flying, right? When I say flying, I'm talking about like aerodynamics, right? Like flying a plane. I think they're probably using magic or something to maintain altitude, and I assume if their mana pool is depleted, they can no longer fly, or they can no longer stay at that altitude, right? So is it flying? I guess so, kind of, yeah, but it's probably not like the traditional way of like, oh, I can just fly. You know, does that make sense? Anyways, why is Eisen running on water? Bro's literally Naruto running on water. I know a lot of anime do that. They do like, not the running on water, but they do like, not cameos. I guess cameos, right? Sure. They do like some type of support, or they show like love to a different piece of art. Like there's a bunch, like in history, like Codename Kid Next Door. Why is that the only one that comes to my mind? A bunch of them did it with Dragon Ball Z is what I'm trying to say. For some reason, Codename Kid Next Door. I think maybe the World of Gumball as well did it. I'm literally listing cartoons, not even listing anime, but I know a lot of anime cartoons and different types of media show love to like these gigantic franchises and these shows that everybody loved, right? And that were probably a huge inspiration for the media you're watching to some extent. And I don't know if that is, but it's just, I don't know if there is actually one. I'm sure there are references in here. I don't know if I'll ever see them or notice them. But if I do, maybe I'll mention it like that. I doubt that was a reference, but it's just funny to think about Eisen as a Naruto character. I feel like that would work. I guess that makes sense. Some type of magic that allows you to converse with the dead. I mean, necromancy's been around forever. I mean, obviously not in this universe or not in the anime, but just as a concept within magical circles, of course. I'm a part of the magic community, so I know. What I'm trying to get at is, it seems like that would be interesting if Frieren would be able to communicate with Himmel in some way. I know it's not true and it sounds stupid, but there's no way that they're gonna find the spell. I'm gonna say okay. I'm going to say this sounds stupid, but if it's actually what happens, I'm still going to think it's a little stupid, but not. It depends how they play it. If they play it the right way, it's not stupid. Are they going to find a way to communicate with Himmel and bring Himmel back and put like Himmel into Stark? Again, I'm going to keep bringing up Stark until we meet him because I like throwing out these possible theories on how she meets this guy. You know what I mean? So it sounds like a stupid theory, and it probably is. But if she does end up doing that in some way, shape, or form, putting Himmel into Stark, I find that stupid, but it's not the most like far-fetched thing ever. I don't think they're going to find anything here to be able to converse with the dead or communicate with the dead or anything like that. I think it's all fairy tales. I do, personally. I think that the whole lesson here is going to be like, let dead people lie or something like that. What's the game? I played, it was Beyond Two Souls, I think. And I'm not going to spoil the game if you've never played it, but there is a part in that game where they communicate with the dead, which you'll understand a lot. That's kind of the whole premise of the game, is you communicate with the dead. That's literally on the box art or on the box. Communicating with the dead is a selfish act, is what I get from the game, or what I got from the game, because they're essentially in pain, right? Because this is just like a theory, obviously, but they're in pain while you're communicating. You're not in pain, but they are, right? Just as like an idea. And so you're causing them pain, so you're selfishly keeping them being ripped apart in like a purgatory type state where you're trying to communicate with them for your own selfish reasons. Now, I don't know if that's what Frieren meant here when she was talking about she doesn't want to talk with him, but that's just like a possibility, right? Because conversing with the dead can be peaceful. It can be very organic. I don't know if organic's the right word. It can be very painless, you know, and it can be natural. I feel like it's possible to spin it that way, but at the end of the day, conversing with the dead when the afterlife is an unknown builds this weird, it's like this weird, you have to find the right place for that to make sense and to really work. You know what I mean? My perspective. Okay, continue. Is this allotting that Frieren is the apprentice of the legendary mage that everyone is talking about? I don't know if this is, if that's what this is saying or not, but that would make a lot of sense. That would make a lot of sense, because she said she's been here before a long time ago. So she probably already knew. Okay, I'm kind of just throwing that out there. I could be completely wrong. Okay, I guess I never really thought about that. Is it possible that a human can teach an elf? I guess that makes sense. A human could teach an elf mage, right? It's just kind of a hard thing to grasp, because when you think about it, humans have such little time compared to the elves. So I'm just kind of, the way I'm seeing it is like, did she have the time to actually, you know? You know what I'm saying? I know I'm not making sense. It's just, I'm trying to get a grasp on how a human with such a limited, I guess time doesn't define experience. I guess that can be a way to equate this, right? Because you don't have to be 10,000 years old to be the best. It's all how you spend that time. That's probably the core of this entire anime, to be honest, is how you spend that time. That would be my guess. So she knew this whole time. Why didn't she ever come back then? Why did she wait until Aizen and Haiter did all the research and found out where she was to come back? Why didn't she just... I'm sure there's a reason. So Aizen knew this? Or is bro just like great at picking up stuff? I love characters that are not necessarily the most powerful, but the most strategic. That's why one of my favorite scenes in any anime ever is, it's two different scenes and they tie for roughly the first spot, even though they're vastly different, and I know one is probably way better. It doesn't matter. The Shikamaru... I can't remember who he fought, and I feel stupid for that. The Shikamaru situation where he had the hole in Nara Forest. I want to say it wasn't Hizaru. It was Hidan. Was it Hidan who he fought? And he had that whole thing planned out. I love that, because Shikamaru is not the strongest character, but I love strategic things like this that showcase like someone who planned something years and years in advance, or like a massive amount of time in advance, because they were able to grasp the current situation and gauge the future, or gauge exactly what someone else might do or what a situation might entail, just by understanding the contextual events around it and the previous things that happened. Another one is Attack on Titan, which, if you guys don't know, Attack on Titan is my favorite anime ever. I'm not here to debate that or anything. It just is. I don't know. I've always really liked it. It has a spot for me in my heart, you know. But regardless, Attack on Titan is the second one, where it's like Eren Yeager, ever since, I try not to ruin things, ever since Eren Yeager was associated with Historia, he basically saw 10 moves ahead, right? And then he was able to plan everything out. I'll put it that way, because I know that I don't want to spoil that one. Even the Hadan thing isn't like a crazy spoiler. So if you've seen either anime or you've seen both, you kind of know the exact like arcs or the exact moments that I'm talking about. And it's just really cool to me to see people who are able to plan in such a way that everything just falls into place. It's one of my favorite types of I don't know what you would call that, like not situations, but like my favorite type of story scenario, I guess. I don't know, but it's one of my favorite types of things that you find in anime and things like that. It's just always really cool to see when there's always that one person or whatever that just kind of knows things. Just knows things, you know. There's a bunch of other anime out there that are like that and have that, and I can give you like a whole list of them, but those are just my two favorite moments that kind of entail that specific type of trope. I do want to clarify that I fully expected this, though, to some extent. I kind of knew it would happen. All this, I didn't know who the legendary mage was or any of that, but I did kind of expect that the legendary mage, she knows Frieren well enough where it's her, I'm assuming it's her student or apprentice or something, right? So she knew her well enough. She knew that she would not be alive long enough to see Frieren finally have the connections with people, that because she knew Frieren, so she was able to gauge it. Frieren didn't have that connection with people back then, but she saw that eventually she would regret it, and so she set this plan up. I kind of expected that, and I kind of see how she came to that conclusion and why she decided to do what she did, the legendary mage. It's so interesting to see when the character, like, oh, Death Note's another one, by the way. Death Note is one of my favorites. I mean, it has a lot of holes. So does Attack on Titan. So does Naruto. They all have holes in them. None of them are perfect. To have a perfect piece of media be perfectly strategic with literally zero, like, possibility of it failing, the person creating it has to be able to perfectly create that strategy, right? You can have 100 people look at it. They could all be human. A human error can always exist. I've never seen a piece of media that I could not at least spend some time looking into, like a strategic planning in any type of media, and not figure it out at some point, or like find a hole within it on how it wouldn't work or whatever. But in this instance, I do kind of see exactly how she came to that conclusion to set up this trap, or this, this scenario. It makes sense. It absolutely does. It's just surprising. It is surprising, but it absolutely makes sense, and I see why she came to it. It was kind of like a gamble, right? She gambled that Frieren would eventually get so connected to someone that she would seek it out and attempt to communicate with that person to reconcile, so it is a gamble, and I think everything is essentially a gamble whenever you have these types of plans or these types of setups. You never know 100% without a doubt. I find it really interesting that she kind of gambled on Frieren getting emotionally attached to someone, and I think that's kind of cool. That shows her humane side, I guess. Sorry if that was all over the place and it didn't make sense, but it's just, there's a lot to unpack here, and it's really interesting how they set it up. I also really like when shows do this. So I'm gonna talk about religion just for like a second. I like it. So it's kind of big with like Valheim. My understanding of Valheim or Nirvana, I know Nirvana is one. There's or heaven. There's a bunch of different types of like places that are known as these peaceful spaces where those go beyond life and live to an extent of living. The soul lives on, but the body does not. And a lot of religions have this. But the one thing I value quite a bit in media that does something like this is they don't have some form of God, or they don't have some form of like omnipotent being ruling over this place of nirvana or this place of peace. They just have these souls that move on to a place of pure bliss, and it's not ruled by anyone. It's not stated to be created by anyone. It's just a place to go and exist, if that makes sense. And I always like it when anime or whenever religion is introduced, or some type of like place of afterlife is introduced. I'm sorry. Whenever like a place of like afterlife is introduced, I always like it when they do it like this, because it shows that there's a possibility of a place to go, but it's not explicitly ruled by some omnipotent being. It could open up more questions on like the origins of life and things like that, but the idea of having a place of pure bliss with no truly powerful being is a very interesting concept and a very strong possibility. Am I getting too like introspective here, guys? Just let me know if I'm getting too introspective or too like deep in the weeds. I need to know, because I'm really picking apart this right now. And I know I shouldn't, but I love it when Aizen strokes his beard. I don't really want to unpack everything because it was kind of a lot. I should have paused a few times in between it. I'm not going to say anything that you guys probably haven't already heard. We saw a little bit more about Frieren and her emotional understanding of the lifespan of those around her, because, as she put it, they would die in no time. And it's interesting to see with Fern now, because remember, this was when Himmel was still alive, so this is like 50 years before she saw Hyter, or this is like 70 years before she saw Hyter. So what I'm getting from that is, I don't think anything necessarily changed. I mean, I think she still had the same mindset when she went and saw Hyter during his final moments, but I do think that she changed a lot in the time that she was there. And I think that was Hyter's plan. I think another way that he saw it is, him and Aizen had been doing this research for years to find the legendary mage. I don't know if they did it for Frieren. I don't know if they knew. I know they did it for Frieren, but I have no idea if they knew that she was her student at that time. They may have. I'm thinking Hyter basically I think he did this all for Frieren, so that way she would not be alone, even though she herself claims multiple times to not want an apprentice. She prefers to be alone, all these things. And I think that Heiter kind of, and I get it, even a blip in her time are still memories that she can make. And it's interesting because the way she was talking to Heiter is that Heiter should make memories while he still has the time to and while he still can. Yet she doesn't follow her own advice by accepting Fern as, I get that she has her own reasons. I'm not like trying to dispute her reasons, but it's like she didn't really take her own advice. And maybe during those 4 or 5 years that she was with Fern, maybe she grew. And obviously it looks like she did grow a bit and improve in the area of being more compassionate and understanding and thinking that it is worth it. But it seems like she has said a lot of really important things to people that she hasn't always followed throughout her life. So I guess this kind of proves in a way that just because you have 1,000 years, I understand her perspective. I don't understand her perspective physically because I'm not 1,000 years old, but I understand her perspective from the sense of the idea of 1,000 years. And so I think that they're both right. I think I understand that she doesn't want the emotional turmoil that comes with losing so many people over and over and over again and creating connections. So I understand her side, but I also understand Heiter's side, and as well as just Eisen's and probably Himmel's as well. I assume he agreed with them. But I kind of agree with their side as well, where creating memories is the whole reason to have the journey. It's not the end goal. It's not the end of the journey. It is the journey. You know, the memories are the journey. I get it. I get both sides. And I think it's really interesting how they're introducing that in a they're kind of packing it all into Fern. Fern is essentially like the embodiment of all these things into one person, from what we've seen so far. And we're trying to figure out, or Frieren's trying to figure out how to engage Fern and I guess live in a way that the memories maintain, but also where she can feel like she's lived the entirety of she's lived like a very successful existence herself, instead of just being, it's taken her a long time to really grasp the idea of creating an emotional connection. And I understand that. I don't know. I'm trying my best to explain it here, but man, it is a very complex, like, I'm not like a super emotional person. I'm not. I'll admit that. I've never been like a super emotional person. I have emotions obviously, but I've never been like very emotional. Like it's very difficult for me to like cry at things, right? When I said I would like cry, I think I said I would cry to Angel Beats or like NHK. I didn't physically cry, but it was very sad. Like I understand getting overwhelmed by certain emotions, but I'm not like a super emotional person. However, emotions are a spectrum. So I guess the way you could read into it is Frieren has the complexities of emotions, but maybe her emotions aren't as outward as, say, another person's. I need to English better, dude. The point I'm trying to make is that we're learning more. We're getting a grasp on Frieren's, I guess, her state of mind, as well as her improvements. And it does seem like she is actually improving. It seems like it's taking her longer than it would like a normal person. Like, you know, normal people have such a short lifespan. I feel like they can move on and grasp things like within a week, within a month, within a year. But it feels like it's taken Frieren a couple years. You know, and not all humans are like that. Some humans take years before they finally understand the emotional complexities of being with someone else and being around someone else. So it seems like Frieren, it just feels like she has so much available time that she can do this. But the thing is, the same inevitable thing happens to everyone. So by the time she's at the end of her life, her existence, she's not going to be any different from Himmel or Heiter. You know, she will be in that same scenario where in that time, she's going to be looking back and remembering all the memories she's made. So even though just because you have more time doesn't mean that you're going to have a different ending. Another thing I'm curious about is Eisen. I wonder how long he actually lives, because I think at one point Frieren said to him, and they said it in the thing that I cut out obviously, but she said to him, "You understand better than anyone," or something like that. So I'm assuming what that means is that Eisen has some form of, like, he has a longer lifespan than, say, a normal human, right? And obviously that makes sense here because it's been, 80 years total? 30 years since she's seen him last, he said, but 80 years total since Himmel died. Or 30 years since Himmel died. I don't know what I'm talking about. 30 years since Himmel died, but 80 years total since the original meetup in the royal capital. And then, but yeah, it seems like maybe Eisen has a longer lifespan because it seems like he's still in pretty good shape. There's still no Stark. I don't have any clue when he's introduced. I honestly thought he was as big of a part of the story as Fern was, but I guess I was completely wrong. I'm not doing any research into when he gets introduced, so I probably won't bring him up again, at least for a good amount of time, at least until maybe he's introduced, and we'll talk about him then, but I just won't bring him up anymore. So I've pretty much already thrown all my ideas out there to you guys and have yapped for this entire time across all 3 episodes. I guess the only thing I really have to say here, just as like a finality to the video, or like a final statement for the video, is thank you guys for watching. Interesting the direction that it's taking, and I'm enjoying it. I'm thoroughly enjoying it. My voice is starting to go after talking for like 3 hours. 3 hours, by the way, yeah. I did spend like a 20-minute break because my headphones died, but other than that, this has been we'll say 2.5 hours. How about that? 2.5 hours recording, and just to put this into perspective, these videos, 25 minutes each, about 21 minutes, I guess, because if we don't include openings and outros. So 1 hour has went to 2.5 hours. That is how much commentary I've added to this. So yeah, very, very crazy. My voice is starting to go a little bit, but that is it from me, everybody. I appreciate you watching. I would love to know what you think in the comments. If you like this anime, please let me know. I ask that you don't put any spoilers beyond episode 4 here. And thank you for your time. I appreciate it. Have a great day, everybody. Goodbye.